Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remembered so you don't have to. Hey, did you hear what's coming out this year? Jurassic Park, again. Fantastic Four, again. Poltergeist, again. Cinderella, again. Star Wars, again. And movie giants Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, and Thor all in the same movie. A motherfucking goddamn again. Now, big shock, I'm kind of a lover of nostalgia, but I think it's pretty clear we've gotten a little too comfortable with nothing original coming out anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, for years Hollywood has given us sequels, remakes, and adaptations of anything popular, but there was also a mix of new material as well. New stories and new characters we can add to our mental library of beloved classics. But now, from comic books to existing movies to even friggin' toy brands, everything is based on something we've already seen before. Yes, I know the theory that there's only 7 stories and we're just doing variations of the same 7, but exact same names, characters, and situations don't offer much for people who claim they crave variety. So, why are we so tolerant and accepting of this? Well, in some respects, many aren't. After all, aren't you used to hearing that groan from the audience when something they love is getting remade? You know that groan, you hear it whenever they show the trailers. The one that starts with, they're remaking Nightmare on Elm Street? They're doing a film version of Bewitched? They're fucking what? It's more than likely you've gotten in a group conversation claiming Hollywood is out of ideas, and most of the people in that conversation agreed with you. But that still doesn't stop you from going to see them, does it? You're still gonna see Hunger Games, you're still gonna see Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of this centers around the old saying that there's no such thing as bad press. Now true, bad press has destroyed many people as well as projects, but those who know how to be smart and use it to their advantage are still reaping the benefits from it. Let's say you have 2 movies. One is a totally original idea about a pissed off woman who has to deal with the end of the entire friggin' world. It has great actors you recognize and has been praised by dozens of critics all around. Then you have a movie like Smurfs. It doesn't matter how well I made this one sound, you immediately have a connection with this one. You grew up with it and or are familiar with it. And hearing that there's now a movie version about them will get some sort of response. Now it could be, that movie looks awful. I can't believe they made a film out of this shit. And chances are it'll be exactly as bad as you'll think it is. However, you're not going to forget about it. And that's exactly what the studio wants. With something new, it's a bit of a crapshoot. Maybe it piques your interest, maybe it has stars you might like, but something like Smurfs has already proven to be a success in the past. It made money and you remember it. So the chances of it making a connection to you is increased. The biggest crime a movie can commit to a studio is being forgotten. Whether for being famously popular or infamously popular, they just want you to keep coming back to the product. Because of this, there's a bigger risk with original ideas. You may look at it one second and forget it the next, which means a studio has to try harder to make it memorable and sell it. With something that was popular before, the audience is already there. An audience that will react to the film and remember that reaction, which is a huge advantage in marketing and selling your product. So you can kinda see why there's so many of these around. Now that doesn't mean there aren't original ideas that can do well and take the world by storm, but why would a studio take a risk that nobody would see an original idea when you're guaranteed somebody will see one based on something else? And hey, if you didn't grow up with it, it'll be a new idea to you. Hell, I doubt all kids knew what Smurfs originally were when the movie came out. So they're seeing a brand new idea on the screen that, what a shock, has years of shows and other movies they may want to follow, which will get the owners of that property even more money. Financially, this just makes more sense. But the good news is that because these are projects that a lot of the filmmakers grew up with, they're also more likely to put more love into it. Yeah, we get our shitted out knockoffs that aren't even trying, but this year, people were upset that the Lego Movie wasn't nominated for an Oscar. Really think about that. People were angry that the Lego Movie was not nominated for Best Animated Picture. Before seeing or knowing anything about the film, would you ever think a sentence like this would be uttered? The Lego Movie? Best Animated Picture? Well, that's because the creators did their damnedest to create the best movie they could. Think about how easily this could have been a cheap marketing ploy just to sell more toys and attach any bullshit story they wanted to it. Again, the audience is there, so they didn't have to try that hard in order to make a profit. But through clever writing, imaginative ideas, and great directing, we got a film that people were shocked didn't win an Academy Award. And this is mostly because the makers of the film absolutely loved Legos. They did have a connection with it. They did remember the feeling it gave them when they were younger. And thankfully, they were talented enough to convey that connection to the audiences they showed it to. Same thing can be said for the slew of great Marvel movies coming out. So many people grew up with these characters, and chances are the filmmakers were just as big of fans as well. Because of this, they put even more time and effort into making their product as good as possible. Because if they fail, they're not just letting themselves down, they're letting Captain America down. They're letting their childhood heroes down, and yours as well. When somebody has that love and connection to a work of fiction, chances are they're going to bring a lot more passion to that product than something that can either sink or float. Adaptations of childhood nostalgia have gone from being half-assed rarities to the record-shattering norm. So in a bizarre way, the question is, why the hell should we put up anything original anymore? There's no guarantee, it's a big risk, and there's nothing from the past that we can connect to. Well, those are the exact reasons why we should. Because there's no guarantee, it's a big risk, and there's nothing from the past we can connect to. It's all entirely new. Ideas like Batman and Planet of the Apes had to originally be created, not retold. So even though there are a lot of good reboots, sequels, and adaptations coming out, original ideas are still just as important as they ever were. Does that mean we'll always be caught in this endless loop of repeat creativity? Unlikely. First of all, there are original ideas coming out, they just don't get as much attention. These are art house films and independent films, and hell, even some of them are surprisingly catching on. Second, if there's anything our society has shown us is that we get bored very easily. And when we get tired of something, we stop watching it. And when we stop watching it, Hollywood has to think of other ideas. And trust me, that will happen. Remember when TV used to suck for a while? I mean, like, really suck? The reality show craze was everywhere and soon more and more people were giving up their cable. But now, thanks to other avenues like HBO and Netflix streaming, TV shows discovered that they have to try harder in order to keep up. And by God, there's a shitload of good shows now. Suddenly, most people went from getting rid of their cable to suddenly realizing that they have like a dozen shows they simply can't miss. We will get tired of seeing adaptation after adaptation, but again, we should probably be grateful the adaptations were as good as they are. For years, Greek mythology retold over and over the countless tales of Hercules, Apollo, and so forth. And yes, while their stories are still being told today, they obviously don't take up the majority of what we see. New ideas came in and broke the mold. The same thing is more than likely to happen here. It'll die down after a while, allowing only the true great timeless ideas to live on in the future. So if you like adaptations, enjoy them while they last. There's a lot of good ones out there. And if you're looking for something more original, check out some of the films that aren't getting as much attention. Or take comfort in the fact that this is all a phase that will eventually run its course. One of the great things about the technological boom is that it has opened up communication beyond what we could ever have expected. And because of that, more and more voices can share even more varieties of stories. Whether classics from the past or new ideas from the future, good entertainment will always find a way to give us a new spin. I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy, remember, so you don't have to. We need even more contestants for our game show. Filming is going great, and we've already shot a couple, and we need even more people. So if you think you can take me on as the Nostalgia Critic in Nostalgia Knowledge and have a lot of great laughs, meet Brad Jones, all sorts of good people, go ahead and send an email here. Go ahead saying who you are, and yeah, just go ahead and send it, and hopefully we can meet up, and you can challenge me to the ultimate experience of challenging me. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. Take care.